Hello, game theorists. So I finished putting together results for the beauty contest game. You'll see them up on Blackboard shortly if you haven't seen them already. So first of all, why do we call this a beauty contest? It's based on a remark that Keynes made a while ago about the stock market back in his day. So at the time, there are these beauty contests where people would see a list of faces and you vote for which ones you thought was the most beautiful. Keynes observed that you're not really thinking about which ones you think are most beautiful, but rather which ones you think would attract the most votes from other people. To win the game, what you're basically doing is trying to be as consistent as possible with what the rest of the group thinks. He likened that to the stock market. It's really the stock market not about what you think is the firm that's going to be the most profitable, but rather which firm you think is going to attract the most attention from other investors. So that was one of his critiques of the stock market. So with that in mind, let's go ahead and analyze the game. So the number you pick has to be between 0 and 100. So 100 is the maximum. That means that the highest possible average would also be 100. So the maximum possible 2/3 of the average would have to be 66 2/3. So no one should guess above 66 2/3. And no one did. So that part worked out okay. Now let's take the same reasoning one step further. If everyone knows this, that no one should guess above 66 2/3, then no one's going to guess above 66 2/3. So that means the average can't be above 66 2/3. What does that imply? Well, 2/3 of the average can't possibly be above 44 4/9. So no one should guess above 44 4/9. I looked over your results and no one guessed higher than that, so we're all rational so far. Let's go one step deeper. My numbers are getting a little bit messy here. Let's round a bit. So no one's going to pick a number above 45. We just established that if everyone sees all this reasoning, then no one's going to, and then maximum 2/3 of the hours will be 44 4/9. So you never want to pick 45 or higher. So if everyone follows that reasoning, our maximum average is going to be 45. The average can't be above 45. No one picks above 45. So if we're picking an average below 45, the average would also better be below 45. Well, that means that the 2/3 of the average can't can't be above 30. So no one picks above 45. The average can't be above 45. If the average can't be above 45, then 2/3 of the average can't be below 30. That means, can't be above 30. That means no one should pick above 30. And that means average is going to be 30 or below, which means 2/3 of the average has to be below 20, and so on. So you probably see a pattern developing here. We just keep lowering and lowering and lowering and lowering. So eventually you realize that no one should ever pick a number above 0. Everyone picks 0 is the unique Nash equilibrium in this game. However, when you guys played it, that did not happen. Actually, no group picked 0. So what's going on? Well, I mentioned this in Chapter 2, Part 2. One issue we have with rationality that's premised on perfect calculation. And maybe not every group would go through this whole process and realize that everyone should pick 0. Or even if your group is smart enough to realize that everyone picks 0 as the equilibrium, you might not have been confident enough that every other group was smart enough to see that. See, if you're smart enough to see everyone picks 0 as the equilibrium, if some other group is kind of not as good, and he picks a number higher, you want to account for that. Actually, if you're the only smart one who picks 0, and everyone else picks a bigger number, then you could actually lose the game. So you don't just try to figure out what the equilibrium is, you have to try to account for how smart the other groups are going to be able to realize what the equilibrium is. If not, how do we adjust our strategy? So as you can see, that perfect calculation aspect of rationality is kind of questionable. Now, it's not just your class that doesn't do the everyone picks 0 equilibrium. If you play this game in experiments, then I don't think you ever see everyone picking 0. There's always some people picking numbers that are higher. So that's how that game works, and it gives us some insights on rationality and people's ability to calculate. So we'll have another in-class game later. Be sure to watch the MyCourses announcements to hear more about that.